I put a spell on you.
I put a spell on you.
Use your mind.
Witches. Hello, witches. Do the most crazy thing you've probably done all year.
Yeah, for sure.
Yay!
No, not really.
What we're going to do right now is ride very slowly, very carefully on the pavement, on the sidewalk, around this big oval. And we're going to ride carefully across the street into the parking lot. We're all going to get together in there. We're going down to Clinton, over to Oakland, around Mount Carmel, back down State, cutting over at Hamilton to Harvey and back here. The streets are open with traffic. You have to follow the rules of the road.
I know.
Let's go.
I'd like to call to order the Borough Council meeting for Doylestown for October 21st. Everyone, please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We have a few special presentations tonight, Madam Mayor.
So tonight we have two a recognition and an award. And so the first we'll do this evening is a recognition of Otto Mills for his contribution to the borough. And Otto is not available to be with us this evening, so I am going to have to praise him for his accomplishments. So when I was on council, Otto advocated for the renters in our community who represent 52% of the people in the borough. And as a result of his advocacy, the council actually adjusted some of our ordinances to protect them. But that wasn't the beginning of his contribution to the borough. In 1999, he was appointed to the Revitalization Board, and he served as vice chair and chair on what eventually became the Economic Development Board. And during that time, he was instrumental in forming the Economic Development and Mayor's Stewardship Award, the DART, the Cultural Link, our permit parking program, and oversight of our parking meter upgrades, our Park mobile app, and overseeing the development of our Justice Center. So tonight, it is with great respect that we honor Otto's contributions to the borough. And I'll read it, even though Otto's not here. In appreciation for your 25 years of dedicated service as a member of the Doylestown Borough Revitalization Board Economic Development Advisory Board, 1999 to 2024, Doylestown Borough, and Mayor West. Thank you, Otto. And then the next recognition actually is one of Otto's accomplishments, and that since 2015, the Economic Development Advisory Board has acknowledged the outstanding stewardship of a dedicated property in the borough. And so tonight, Kurt and Amy Kresmer, and if you would come up, from 278 West Oakland Street are being recognized by the
I'm going to bring up the kids that actually mow the lawn. And
that is great.
He waters the grass.
And so Kurt and Amy are being recognized for using all local contractors to improve on an already great borough property into a beautiful home with both interior and exterior improvements. So here is your 2024 Stewardship Award, the Doylestown Borough Economic Development Advisory Board.
thank you so much, Mayor.
Did you get to do a picture with you?
We would like to say thank you to the borough. It's easy to take care of your property when you live in a town or a borough that takes care of itself. The amount of work that the Public Works does, those gentlemen are out there all the time, the amount of assets that you guys put towards the borough, make it very easy for homeowners to want to be part of that. So thank you for everything you do for the borough.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on. Next item on the agenda is the approval of minutes from our September 16th council meeting. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Frederick. Any questions, comments from any members of the council? Hearing none. Like, any questions or comments from any members of the public? Hearing none, I'd like to call the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Madam Mayor, do you have anything for us?
I do not have a report this evening.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Frederick, Public Safety, what do you have for us?
Yes, I have several things tonight. The first is the authorization to draft and advertise ordinance creating 5 2-hour limit parking spaces on Memorial Drive. The Public Safety Committee, at their October meeting, considered a request for 2-hour parking on Memorial Drive near War Memorial Field. The parking would serve War Memorial Field, park, and track users who cannot park in the student parking lots on weekdays. Currently, on-street parking on Memorial Drive at the stadium has no limitation and is therefore used by students who remain all day. As a result, the Public Safety Committee is recommending that council authorize the drafting and advertising of an ordinance creating a 5-space, 2-hour limit parking zone from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., Monday through Friday, on the east side of Memorial Drive, just north of McFarland Lane. If the council wishes to follow the recommendation, it can do so by motion, and I so move.
Second.
We have a second, I believe it was Mr. Yeah, Mr. Never mind. All right, any questions or comments from any members of council? Hearing none. Any questions or comments from any members of the public? Hearing none. I'd like to call the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
All right, the second is the Acme Market's request for borough approval to sell ready-to-drink cocktails. Attached, please find the above reference request. The request arises from a recent amendment to the Commonwealth's Liquor Code that permits retail licenses such as Acme to sell ready-to-drink cocktails. A summary of the legislation is attached. Because the borough's original 2014 grant of permission to Acme to transfer a liquor license was conditional, Acme requires Borough Council's permission to take advantage of the new legislation. The Public Safety Committee is recommending the council grant such permission. If council wishes to follow recommendation, it can do so by motion to acknowledge and grant Acme's request, and I so move.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Brown. Any questions or comments from any members of the council? Hearing none. Any questions or comments from any members of the public? Yes? Can you come up to the microphone and identify yourself, please?
Well, I just disagree.
Could you identify yourself, please?
My name is Andrea Kondracki. I live in Font Hill Apartments.
Okay.
I disagree. I've been to, maybe not Acme, but Weiss, where I've seen police officers buy liquor in uniform. And I just don't think having liquor readily available for the general public, hop in, let's drink in the car. I'm sorry, I just disagree. That's all I have to say. It's the whole alcohol thing in supermarkets is against everything I believe in.
Just to clarify for council and for the public that's listening in, this is not permission for Acme Markets to sell liquor. That still is the province exclusively of the state store system. This is a very narrowly defined product, which is a pre-mixed liquor drink. You may know it's a canned product that rather than having malt beverage as a base, has typically vodka as a base, and there's some flavor to it. It's a new trend. So it's not, you're not going to be able to buy bourbon or whiskey or can't think of another one, gin. You're not going to be able to buy that at Acme, but this specific product, somebody tell me the brand name of one of them, and maybe nobody knows, nobody drinks it.
I don't know. I was in California over the summer, and they sell like pre-mixed, like Moscow Mule or a pre-mixed gin and tonic.
That's what it is. It's in a can.
Like, you know, like in a 4-pack or something like that. So it's already mixed with like a
Anyway,
non-liquor-based
it
whatever.
may not impact your position on this, but just wanted to be clear that this is not, liquor can still only be sold in the state store, not in the Acme.
Any other questions or comments from the public? Hearing none, I'd like to call the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Yes, and the last ordinance here is consideration of ordinance number 2024-6, creating a no parking zone on the south side of Atkinson Drive. Attached, please find ordinance number 2024-6, which creates a no parking zone on the south side of Atkinson Drive, east of its intersection with Broad Street. Council authorized the drafting and an advertisement of this ordinance at their meeting on September 16, 2024. The ordinance has since been properly advertised. This parking restriction was contemplated as part of a road improvements and bike lane being installed with the development at 333 North Broad Street. Vehicles parked in this area impede use of bike and vehicle lanes. The Public Safety Committee recommends that council adopt ordinance number 2024-6. If council wishes to follow recommendation, it can do so by motion, and I so move.
Second.
We have a second by Mr. Kinney, I believe.
It is.
Any questions or comments from any members of council? Hearing none. Any questions or comments from any members of the public? Hearing none, I'd like to call a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
The last thing we have is the fire company report. Everyone has that in their packet, and that is the end of my report, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Frederick. Mr. Brown, do you have anything for us tonight?
Yeah, Public Works met this month. We don't have anything actionable, but we did have a presentation of the solar project for Borough Hall that will be put in consideration for the 2025 budget. It was well done and met with enthusiasm by the members. As far as work goes for Public Works this past month and now, actually, the leaf pickup has begun. So the schedules are out there. Please, make sure that you keep your leaves not in the street and on the curb, above the curb. And also, as dry as it's been these past months, please remember that having dry leaves out in the street that get parked over by cars with hot catalytic converters can be a problem. So that's one of the major reasons why we don't want the leaves in the street. Also, the Public Works team planted 20 trees this month, so more new trees in the borough. That's my report, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. Community and Government Affairs, Mr. Bell, do you have anything for us tonight?
Thank you, Mr. President. Community and Government Affairs did not meet. We have no matters for council. In the way of a public service announcement, I'll remind everyone that a week from Thursday is Halloween and the sun sets at 5:58 p.m. So if you're a motorist at that time, be careful. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Bell. Zoning and Planning, Ms. Jarrett.
We, of course, did meet this week. The Building and Zoning Department has the Zoning Hearing Board report, which I will have Ms. Highland run us through, if that's all right.
Thank you, Ms. Jarrett. The Zoning Hearing Board met last Thursday. There was one application on their agenda. It was for 275 and 279 North Main Street, owned by, ironically, 263 North Main Street LLC. The application is for two lots, each including half of a twin, and both being undersized in that zoning district. The proposal is to transfer about 350 square feet from one lot to the other, thereby reducing the nonconformity on one lot and increasing the nonconformity on the other lot. Along with that, the applicant was requesting some setback variance and lot coverage variance to enable them to put an addition on the back of one of the twins. The Zoning Hearing Board did approve the application.
Thank you, Ms. Highland. Next up, we have the HARB report. At its regular monthly meeting, the Borough of Doylestown Historic and Architectural Review Board recommended the following. First, with sign applications, there was 39 West State Street for a sign. The HARB recommended that the application for a certificate of appropriateness be approved as presented. 31 West Ashland Street. HARB recommended that the application for a certificate of appropriateness be approved as presented. And 52 East State Street, Unit A, the HARB recommended that the application for a certificate of appropriateness be approved as presented. Then we have building applications. First is 278 West Oakland Avenue for the building renovation. The HARB recommended that the application for a certificate of appropriateness be approved as submitted, with any new gutters and downspouts to match the existing hardware, half round to match the enclosed porch, and standing seam metal roofs will be painted barn red to match the existing shutters. Symphony slate will be used for the dormer, and windows will be Marvin Infinity. Siding will be full panel AZEK. Next was 235 Washington Street for a building renovation. The HARB recommended the application for a certificate of appropriateness be approved as submitted and presented, with the proposed second floor deck to be constructed of Trex decking in a warm neutral tone. 80 West State Street for windows. The HARB recommended that the application for a certificate of appropriateness be approved as submitted and presented, with the following conditions. Application be amended to include all windows. Windows will be Anderson 400 series, and on the front portion of the building, the brick or stone facade, the windows will be 6/6 with a simulated divided light. On the additions with stucco or siding, the windows will be 1/1, except for the double 10/1 window on the eastern facing wall with the addition, and the windows on the third level will be replaced with an in-kind grid pattern. 387 Lincoln Avenue, the roof and garage roof amendment. The HARB recommended that the application for certificate of appropriateness be approved as presented. 47 Hillside Avenue for a renovation and addition. The HARB recommended that the application for a certificate of appropriateness be approved as presented. The Zoning and Planning Committee recommends that council approve the applications in accordance with HARB's recommendation. Council can follow the committee's recommendation by motion, and I so move.
Second.
We have a second, who was, by Amy?
That was Amy.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from any members of council?
Just that we've never had a back-to-back stewardship award winner.
An application.
It looks like the Crimsons are going for the 2025 award already.
I'll add one comment to that. They certainly know their way how to get here.
And your house looks beautiful.
Any other questions or comments from any members of council? Hearing none, any questions or comments from any members of the public? Hearing none, I'd like to call a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
And the code enforcement and building inspection reports are in the packet. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Ms. Jarrett. Ms. Wyckoff, Environment and Rec, do you have anything for us tonight?
Thank you. I don't have any actionable items, but I just wanted to note that the 10th annual Witches Ride is happening this Saturday. And I wanted to thank Caitlin Hernandez for helping with the registration for that event. We have over 200 witches riding bikes through town on Saturday. Thank you. That's all.
Thank you, Ms. Wyckoff. Mr. Lavrone, Water Utility, do you have anything for us tonight?
Thank you, Mr. President. The Water Utility Committee did not meet in October. We will meet in November. And of course, we have no actionable items since we did not meet, but I have one informational item. I spoke to our chief operator, Jeremy Matoso, today, asking him about the potential voluntary water restrictions because my chief meteorologist, Cecily Tynan, says there's no rain in sight. So he told me that New Jersey the state of New Jersey just enacted something like that today, and he's monitoring the situation through at DEP. So there is a potential for that. You know, we had a voluntary water restriction several months ago during the summer drought. So just wanted to let you know that our chief operator is monitoring that for us. And that's the end of my report.
Thank you, Mr. Lavrone. Finance and Pension, Ms. Popkin, what do you have for us?
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. The Finance Committee did meet, as well as including the whole council last week, and we had our first session. It was a working session for the 2025 budget. So that was our first meeting of we do one more in November and then approve the budget in December. And then the other item on the agenda would be the finance report, and I'll turn that over to Ms. Brinker.
Thank you, Mrs. Popkin. Everyone was provided with a list of payables for this month and also September payroll. The total for all funds is $1,447,473.12.
Thank you, and I'll make a motion.
Second.
We have a second by Ms. Jarrett. Any questions or comments from any members of council? Hearing none. Any questions or comments from any members of the public? Hearing none. I'd like to call a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. That's the end of my report, Mr. President.
Okay, and Personnel Committee did not meet this month. I do not have a report. Mr. Doherty, do you have anything for us tonight?
Thank you. I have nothing tonight.
Bucky, do you have anything for us on this?
Thank you. No report this evening.
Chief, do you have anything for us tonight?
Thank you. No report tonight.
Okay. I do not have a president's report tonight. Do we have any items of old business?
Yeah, go ahead.
You're older, you go.
Beauty. Anyway, just to bring up the police activity report, I know we had in public safety, we had a lot of people in complaining about the speeding in town, people going through stop signs, red lights, people getting hit, almost hit. I just want to bring up one thing for traffic citations. This month was 25. That brings it to 400 citations for the year. that's a lot of citations, and 856 warnings. So the police are out there doing their job. I know a lot of people say, well, you know, I've seen people this, that, go through stop signs, red. You can't be everywhere at once, and I think they're doing a great job with keeping up with it, and they'll keep their due diligence out there and keep us safe. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Frederick.
Yeah, I have one,
I thought it was Brent Larry.
No, go, Ben.
we're just going down the line.
Age.
I have old business, but it's only about 4.5 minutes old, and it's a question that came up from Mr. Lebron's conversation with Mr. Matozo. And my question is, given that council is not meeting for another month, and given that any voluntary measures of conservation would not require any ordinance or any mandatory restrictions, can we agree that this would be a staff matter?
It always is.
Well, no, down.
Typically, we would issue that on the advice of the Director of Water Operations, so, yeah.
Okay, thank you. Your turn.
Thank you, sir. Just a couple things to remind everybody that coming up this week is a busy week in town. The Boo Bash will be here on Thursday night. The Drug Take Back will be here on Saturday. And also Discover Doylestown's Halloween contest and parade is on Saturday morning as well in town, and Pumpkin Fest. So it's a very busy weekend.
Any other items of old business? Any items of new business?
Yeah, Mr. President, just, it's really not new business. I just want to commend Chief Knott and Captain Carlin for responses to concerns in the Belvedere development, which is right adjacent here to Borough Hall, about truck traffic through the development. The chief and Captain Carlson were right on top of this, got in touch with businesses on Doyle Street, where apparently trucks have been cutting across Doyle, cutting through Belvedere, which doesn't allow for truck traffic except for local deliveries in that development itself. And got right on top of this. I just want to commend and echo what Mr. Frederick said about the police department doing their job. I really appreciate how quickly the chief and his staff got on this and talked to the businesses, and hopefully that will alleviate the issue. So I just want to give the chief my appreciation for the work that he did.
Any other items of new business? Hearing none, I'll open public comment. John, do you have the list?
We have two people signed up for public comment tonight. The first is Suzanne Kondracki from Font Hill, I believe we've heard from. On another matter?
You heard from my sister.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm Suzanne Kondracki. I have lived at Font Hill Apartments for 25 years. I've lived in Doylestown Borough half of my life. What is going on at Chipotle, which my apartment is 25 feet from, there are, every other night, there are delivery trucks going in there and throwing pallets around, yelling. This is from 11 o'clock at night to the early morning hours of 5 a.m. Okay? There's the deliveries every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 10 p.m. to 5:30 a.m. They have loud hydraulics. They keep it running. Their lights are shining into my bedroom. Of course, they have the backup beeping of the trucks, which is needed, but they don't have to do a 15-point turn for 10 minutes, beeping that long at that time of night. I just want to make sure I get all this in. Numerous daily car alarms. I know they're there, but they're 25 feet from my abode. Cars leaving their lights on, shining into my living room, teenagers loitering loud past 11 o'clock, landscapers manicuring the little lawn that they have, spraying insecticides, and then blowing all that stuff into my ground floor apartment, the dirt, dust, and toxins. Delivery trucks are left running, pallets are thrown around, guys are yelling at each other. I would like to know who is responsible let me go back. September 24th, and I cannot believe this took place and the police did nothing, absolutely nothing. A jackhammer started going off at 11 o'clock at night till 2:30, after 2:30 in the morning. Can't hear it that good. You hear that? That was 10 times as loud in my apartment for 3 hours. Would you have let this go on? Police were called twice. Nothing was done. I called the borough in the morning. People were supposed to get back to me. If they had a permit, the cops said they couldn't do anything because they didn't know if they could have a permit. They didn't have access to the permits. So who is responsible for giving these people a permit to do this at 11 o'clock at night to 2:30 in the morning? Why was this allowed? Isn't that disturbing the peace? And why wouldn't the police enforce a borough ordinance? Would any of you let that happen?
Perhaps,
My hearing was gone. I was in pain.
perhaps we could ask the chief and the code enforcement department to respond to your concerns?
I would like that.
Chief, do you want to start?
Sure. So I really apologize for what you have to go through up there. I really do. I have some reports that I pulled up, and yes, there's been constant noise from everything that you described. The incident regarding the jackhammer, I have that in front of me. You're absolutely right. You called on the 24th and then again on the 25th, and we did respond both times. I don't have an answer.
I'm sorry. I beg to disagree with you there. One officer responded to the first call at 11:15. Nobody got out of the car. The officer called me and said there was nothing she could do because they did not speak English. We have translators on our phones, people.
Well,
Want to continue, Chief?
I really don't want to continue if you're going to cut me off and be rude to me like this.
I'm sorry, but
I'm trying to help you with your problem.
I'm sorry.
This is not the forum or the manner to address this.
I
Let
don't
me
do this often, but I'm
Let me defer over to code enforcement.
sorry.
So after I spoke with you, which I think was on the 4th, which I think perhaps they came back another time, and that was when you called Borough Hall. We did visit the property. It looks like they did some maintenance work on the concrete. That's not permitted work. It doesn't necessarily require a permit. However, we did reach out to the property owner and let them know about the noise ordinance. Unfortunately, at that point, the work had already been completed.
It's not the first time it's happened. This is how close this is
Yes.
to my apartment. I don't know why nobody in their infinite wisdom could have known that this was going to disturb the public. Every night. Every other night. That's taken from my living room window.
Thank you for sharing your concern with us. We'll take it under advisement, and we'll see that try to prevent it from happening again.
You should certainly continue to call 911 if it continues. Generates a report. It does generate a report every time, which helps us to enforce.
And that's probably the best tool that we can use if it comes to the need for enforcement.
I've called so many times and I don't see anybody. I watched out the window and I don't see them respond.
Yeah, the noise ordinance. I don't have the device to measure it.
And I have plenty of notes here.
Okay.
There are nothing that's back.
So let me try to put your mind at ease for a second. Here's one noise complaint that you called at 1:55 in the morning, very late at night. And because we were tied up on other priority calls, the officer was not able to go through at 2:42, over almost an hour later. So that's probably why you didn't see anyone come by. So there's a lot of instances like that. On the jackhammering call, we were out there on September 24th, like you had mentioned, at 11:16 in the evening. I won't read the whole report, but it first starts with when I arrived on the scene. So that tells me that an officer actually arrived on the scene. What should not have happened was the jackhammering to continue. That's a failure on our part, and I will absolutely take that up with the sergeant who allowed that to happen. There's a couple other reports I have for noise complaints. One was at 7:30 in the morning. That falls out of the scope of the noise ordinance, unfortunately, by a half hour. So we have been out there. We do respond to each and every one of your calls. But the most concerning one to me is the jackhammering one. And I promise you that I will follow up with that. You're welcome.
Okay, we have Linda Shanahan, 113 Decatur Street. Linda?
Hi, I'm Linda Shanahan, and I just was signing in. I didn't really have a comment.
Oh,
But
okay.
thank you for approving my signs.
All right.
Congratulations on your store.
Mr. President, I have a question about the noise ordinance that the chief mentioned. How does the borough measure noise?
Depends on which department is responding. Chief, do you want to talk about how your department would respond to a noise complaint?
Yeah, sure. So we try to use the common sense rule, especially the time, the day. As you know, the noise ordinance is later on a Sunday morning, starts at 11, and we go from there. In the ordinance, it does mention, you're allowed to run a blower, lawnmower, those things. And then, it's a case-by-case basis. We have called out Mr. Fleischer, our fire marshal / code enforcement officer. He does have a decibel meter, I believe, and at times he will help us measure the noise. The decibel meter is a very scientific tool. It has to be calibrated quite often. You just can't use your phone, as some people have tried, and put it up to the noise and get a reading. So it's the best we have with the tools that we have. Clearly jackhammering at 11:30 at night is just beyond.
You don't need a decibel meter to say you can't jackhammer in the middle of the night.
Right. You know where we get this, Councilman, is a lot of time on the rallies and the protests with, we've all experienced it, me, because I stand right here, these loud trucks, these jacked up trucks that run around town. When we have certain rallies in town, those are the kind that we should have, decibel meters.
Typically in the daytime, we'd be dealing a lot with construction activity, and there's a time frame for construction activity. As the chief said, their construction activity can commence at 7 a.m. So typically, we're not looking at decibels at that point. We're looking at when people are starting. If they're starting too soon, we're stopping them from and making them work within the window. As the chief's pointed out, there is a lot of exempt equipment too, even that would go over the decibel meter, whether it's a leaf blower or some other construction activity, backup beepers for trucks and things of that nature. So typically, it does not come down to us having to point a calibrated decibel meter at something going on to determine whether it's within or without the ordinance. It's generally a matter of what time is it, and what type of activity is taking place.
Thank you.
What time does the ordinance start? It ends at 7. Does anybody know? off the top?
7 to 9.
7 to 9.
7 to 9. 11 on Sunday mornings.
Do you regulate any delivery times?
Delivery times.
You know, I mean, she was explaining they start at 11 o'clock at night or 10 o'clock at night and they go to 5 in the morning delivering things. Do we have any parameters on that?
The deliveries themselves are fine, but if they're producing loud noise, then we can enforce that.
Okay, thank you.
Unfortunately,
Yeah.
and looking through some of these police reports, what often happens, though, is the police receive a call, even within 2 minutes of receiving that call, the delivery's complete and the truck is already gone by the time the police get there. So it's very difficult to enforce deliveries, especially when they're coming from far, or they're using a GPS or something to get here.
Thank you.
Ma'am, you've already used your time up. You're allocated 3 minutes. You've used your time up. Any other public comment? I'd like to entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion, meeting is adjourned.
I put a spell on you. You're mine.
Witches. Hello, witches. Do the most crazy thing you've probably done all year.
For sure.
Yay!
No, not really.
What we're going to do right now is ride very slowly, very carefully on the pavement, on the sidewalk, around this big oval. And we're going to ride carefully across the street into the parking lot. We're all going to get together in there. We're going down to Clinton, over to Oakland, around Mount Carmel, back down State, cutting over at Hamilton to Harvey and back here. The streets are open with traffic. You have to follow the rules of the road.
Hi, I'm Nick Tartaglia, lieutenant from the all-volunteer Doylestown Fire Company, speaking on behalf of our members. We're looking for new people to join our team. Could that be you? You've just seen why our members are our #1 asset, and together we make a powerful team. We're your friends and neighbors, but when you call 911, we're the ones who drop everything to answer the call. Just like you, our diverse volunteers work normal jobs, attend schools, and care for their families. But together, we share our talents and skills for a common mission. In fact, maybe you know some of us.
My name is Lori Westover. I'm a cell biologist for a large drug discovery company, and I serve to help my neighbors in their time of need.
My name's Grant Castor. I'm head of commercial operations for a specialty pharmaceutical company, and I serve to give back to my hometown.
My name is Rachel Laux. I'm studying to become a veterinarian, and I volunteer to continue my family tradition as a third-generation firefighter.
I'm Steve Downs, and I'm a teacher and a professor at LaSalle University. And I became a firefighter to live my faith.
We are the Doylestown Fire Company. Aside from our different individual lives, we are all professionally trained firefighters and members of this close-knit firefighting family. We need more people to join our team. We'll ensure you have the necessary skills, knowledge, and equipment to succeed. Join us and share our enthusiasm in providing this vital service to the community. To explore whether firefighting might be a good fit for you, please contact us or visit your local firehouse for more information. Your friends, your family, and your neighbors count on us. Can we count on you?